What I've noticed in myself anyway is that you will feel a repelling away effect from people that are unequally yoked from you. Simultaneously, you'll also feel sort of like an attraction towards people who are equally yoked. Unequally yoked friends and unequally yoked friendships in general, or just relationships in general. I think this is actually a very tough pill to swallow, especially for me, because I definitely had a lot of friends in the past that were very, how do I say, like sinful, like very sinful. And the thing is, they just weren't in the faith. And I think that it was becoming more difficult to hang around them because they would basically either say things or act in a certain way that would actually make me kind of cringe. When enough cringy things sort of happen over time, then I start to kind of reconsider whether or not I kind of want to be around them. People are good people, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm not trying to frame it like, just because people are not in the faith and just because they're not following Christ, that doesn't make them necessarily like evil people with terrible, bad intentions. It's just the thing is that when the Holy Spirit is increasing in you, and when you draw closer to Jesus and the Holy Trinity in general, what ends up happening is that, what I've noticed in myself anyway, is that you will feel a repelling away effect from people that are unequally yoked from you. Simultaneously, you'll also feel sort of like an attraction towards people who are equally yoked. If you're in the faith, it's gonna feel good to be around people who are in the faith. If you're in the faith and you're hanging around people that are not in the faith, you might actually naturally not feel inclined to be hanging around those people, just naturally. And the difficulty, I think, comes with the relationships with people is the fact that, like, yeah, you can know people for years. You can know some of your old friends for such a long time, and you can be changing and they cannot be changing. Meaning, like, they can sort of be, you could have friends that are kind of just stuck in the same kind of patterns or the same type of thinking. When you were growing a relationship with them at the time, it made sense. I'm sure a lot of you guys still have, a lot in common, and it's not like some terrible thing. Just to be clear, I still hang around a lot of these guys that I've made friends with many, many years ago, and I still see them from time to time. And the thing is, I sort of keep them within arm's reach. It's one of those things where I don't really want to hang out with them on longer periods of time. There's definitely a group of friends for me that I like to meet up with maybe once a month or once every 2 months. And when we do hang out, it's usually for like a long session, and it feels good. And the thing is like, even Jesus himself, he was still around sinners. It's not like you can, just because you're in the faith doesn't mean that you just can't be around sinful people at all, right? I mean, we're all sinners. So it's not like, the thing about it is like, when you're in the faith, you can't just simply, it's a lot easier said than done to just only then have a social network that are only of people in the faith. I think that is very difficult, and it's not realistic. And I think that I think it's inevitable for people to have, the older you get, you're gonna know a whole variety and a whole slew of people, and some people are gonna be in the faith and some people are not. And you just have to, I think, allocate your time on what relationships you really want to cultivate and which ones you want to sustain, and then which ones you just want to keep, within arm's reach, where, it's one of those things where I have some friends that I can't tolerate them. I can't tolerate some of my friends for long periods of time. I'm just going to be honest. I like getting little bursts in short periods of time, but infrequently, you know? And I think a lot of people are going to be in that boat too, that the relationships that you have, and it's a more intimate relationship with the opposite sex, like I think that is even more to be talked about, because when partners are unequally yoked, I think that's actually more dangerous than anything. Now, it's different when one person is in the faith and the other person is not, and the person that isn't in the faith is still open to the idea of it, or they're still willing to sort of make compromises or have an open mind, and you know, if they're supportive and if they're seriously considering actually giving their life to Jesus Christ, then I think it's a different story. If two people are dating each other and one person is in the faith and the other person is not in the faith, then I think the person that's not in the faith, like if they're actually very stubborn and if they're hard pressed to budge, like if they just don't want to, if they don't want to talk about it, they don't really tolerate it too much, and you don't feel like you can speak about these type of like Christian topics around them, and you don't feel comfortable like talking of that subject matter around them, then I think that's kind of a red flag. When your faith increases, I think you will naturally be attracted to people that are also in the faith. For those relationships where one person is in the faith and the other person is not, I think a partnership like that is eventually going to fade over time, depending on how strong the faith is for that one partner. Because I think that will create enough of a driving force to create a repelling effect. You know, and I know it sounds hard to have to cut people out from your life, but think of it this way. When you're cutting a person, when you're not seeing a person in your life and they start fading away from you, then that actually leaves room for other people to enter your life. So I know it's easy to sort of like get fixated on the negatives of it, like the negative consequence of like, oh, well, they're going to be, you know, leaving, or you know, I'm going to miss them. And the flip side of it is that what you don't know, what you might not realize at the time is the fact that like you could be meeting somebody that really aligns with you, and when you cut a person off in your life, that still leaves, it's going to open a door to someone to enter your life as well. And I'm actually like a strong proponent of that. I really believe in that. So yeah, that's about it. That's a little video. I gotta get out of this parking lot. And so I'll see you guys in the next one.